Welcome to the MOTATAPU podcast for 2026, a once-a-year adventure and one epic day out. This podcast is about making sure that you prepare well so you can make the most of that epic day out at the start of March. Hi, I'm Richard Greer, and I'll be leading you through this podcast series over the next 3 weeks. I'm the team captain of Team CPNZ, a coaching company based out of Canterbury, working with athletes all over New Zealand and the world. We work with people on all different levels. So if you want a little bit of guidance with your preparation, maybe some help with your strength training, through to regular coaching support and feedback to help you achieve your goals for the MOTATAPU. We're the ones who help make sure that your epic day out is an awesome one and not just a war story to tell others in a few years' time once you've actually recovered. I've done every event at the MOTATAPU, from the triathlon in the old days, the ultra, the mountain bike a number of times, and also ticked off the miners trail as well. I'll be running the marathon this year, so we'll look forward to seeing all those runners as they get off the bus and seeing it, hopefully some of you, when we make it to the finish line. Today on the podcast, we have nutritionist Hannah Alexander and elite ultramarathon runner Scotty Hawker. We're going to discuss nutrition strategies for your race with Hannah, dialing down guidelines for your carbohydrate, salt, and fluid requirements, while giving you a bunch of different ideas to actually what to use along the way as well. Scotty Hawker is a professional runner and just making it back into competition following a significant injury layoff. So we're going to discuss his goals for the marathon this year, chat about his training, and get a bit of his take on nutrition for performing and seeing how he's going to actually do that on race day as well. So let's rip into it. Without further ado, let's have a chat to Hannah and Scotty today.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm training and Hannah's just as fatigued as yeah. Yeah,
good stuff. So we're going to talk. Let's start with Hannah, I think, and we'll dive into some nutrition, and we're going to use Scotty. We're going to talk to you specifically about your build-up and your marathon and things like that shortly, but also going to use you to chat to us a bit about your experience and how you run your nutrition, and maybe learning from you as we go as well. But Hannah, today I wanted to talk about sort of, I guess, the key foundations of nutrition that we need to make sure that we get right for our event. So those 3 things being hydration, carbohydrate intake, and sodium intake. It feels like they're the key things that we need to manage, and obviously it changes with different people and temperatures and all that sort of stuff. But do you want to give us a bit of a starting point, maybe just discussing hydration for a start? What are some things that we need to think about, how we do it, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So the hydration it's going to go like together with the sodium, because most of your sodium is going to come from your like liquid carbs or liquid drink mixes. But like you kind of need to have a rough idea of what your sweat rate is before you can give too many guidelines around that. I think Precision Fuel and Hydration have got a really good article on that about how to work out your average sweat rates, like how much actual liquid you're losing or gaining and throughout however long you're running for. And then with that, you can kind of have a look at how much salt you're losing just by like what you look like and feel like at the end of your run. So if you've got like salt, like if you notice salt on your forehead or your clothes or
like that.
If your pack looks like yours at the end of your run, to figure out how much sodium you're actually losing with that same amount of water, so you can work out like the concentration in there, and that can kind of give you a guideline of how much liquid you need to be taking on per hour or over the whole thing. And then how much sodium you need to have in that amount of liquid.
Liquid, yes. Okay. So starting off with that hydration, basically, like for us, it's about how much we weigh before and after, effectively, is it? Is that sort of what we need to do? Because it's also dependent upon the day. So it's not just this is my sweat rate, but if it's a cold day, I need to be doing this. If it's a hot day, I need to be doing that.
Yeah. So your sodium should stay roughly the same. Shouldn't change an awful lot, but the amount of actual liquid you're losing will probably, that'll be a lot more dependent on kind of how hard the run is for the race,
conditions,
how hot it is. So probably
what are some ranges that we're doing in terms of just, I guess, general guidelines around, I guess, sweat rates, what people do, but also like, are you expecting most people will be drinking, say, 500 mils an hour or 750 or a litre, or what are some guidelines here?
The liquid's kind of all over the place. Like, it could be as little as 200 mils or something.
Yeah.
But then, like, you'd get through a litre if it's a hot day.
And I think that's the thing with, with training and racing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, everyone's so different, but then that's where, and a lot of the time, I mean, for me, when obviously like coaching athletes as well who are preparing for events, it's kind of like go through dress rehearsals and training and simulate kind of what you're going to come across on race day, in the sense of, don't not go out and train because it's raining, because it could be raining come race day. And then actually all that information that you're going to gain from a nutrition, hydration, your gear, all of those kind of key things, and sort of dialing in. And so then you kind of know, looking at the forecast. I mean, obviously New Zealand, you can't look too far out, but, Saturday, the 7th of March, whatever it's going to be, okay, it's going to be 24 degrees, and you can kind of reflect back on training notes and stuff and go, hey, on that run, I did this and felt pretty good and everything went well. Or, the flip side of that is like, hey, you remember a run where it was 24 and you didn't have enough, kind of hydration, nutrition, whatever. And you're like, okay, I felt pretty rubbish in that one. So,
or if you're taking like the same amount of liquid on each run, and it's like super hot one day and you go through it all within half of the run, and then you might take the same amount on a colder day and go not even finish it.
Yes.
So
I mean,
I think guidelines for liquid.
I think with the fluid, the actual fluid kind of component of it is, I mean, and as you know, mate, with coaching people, like a lot of what we're doing is just so individualized. It's like, and it's hard because everyone kind of wants to know, like, what should I eat? What should I take? Like, there's this influencer on Instagram saying he's taking 400 grams of carbs per hour. Should I be doing that? And it's like, it's just sort of, everyone is just so different. And then obviously, as we'll get in and talk a bit about the specifics of the different races at MOTATAPU, it's kind of like, I know for me, if I was doing, say, the Miners Trail, my nutrition hydration plan is going to be so different from what it would be for the ultra run, obviously, but, because of duration, because of intensity and all that kind of stuff. And so, it's hard because obviously it's good to sort of give those generalizations, and it is good for people to have a bit of an idea. But I think a key thing people need to sort of remember is that, like, hey, generalized information, just like the cookie cutter training programs, you can chat GPT a training program and okay, it might kind of get you so far, but at the end of the day, if you're wanting to sort of be the best version of yourself on a start line and performance, it does get a little bit more, personalized than, the generic kind of stuff.
That's great advice. Ultimately, what we're trying to do in training is simulate race day, and that's the nutrition that you do as well. So you're simulating what's happening, and you're going to simulate race day in different conditions. So you're going to have an understanding about how much you need at the upper end and how much you need at the lower end, be it, as you say, 200 mils through to maybe 1.5 litres or something, depending if it's super hot, and how do you manage that. On that sodium piece, like, are there some, like, is there a range that we need to be thinking about there per litre, like, generally?
Yeah, normally, not necessarily per litre, because it would depend what you're using, but like 300, 600 milligrams per hour would be like a rough range. But then some people don't sweat hardly any salt, so it might be 300 or less. Like that would be the most, that would be the
lower
majority of people would be between 300 and 600. But then some people are well over 600, especially if you're like cramping a lot, trying to prevent that. You might do a higher sodium.
Well, I mean, even to the point, remember as a good friend of mine years ago, he was just having so many issues with like just hydration in general and cramping and all sorts of stuff. And so he ended up doing like a hydrolyte preload the day before he was due to do either a long run or a big key session, just to really just sort of bump things up so he could go in at a really sort of, good kind of state. And found that, and he was literally force feeding himself, pretty high strength electrolytes, the day before and the morning of. But then he found he was able to do, races and perform how he could perform. And all of a sudden, the hydration kind of component of, what had been a bit of an Achilles heel for him, ended up getting kind of sorted through that. And that was just a little bit of trial and error, and then realizing that, hey, in certain conditions, this is, how it needs to be for me, and kind of understanding that.
Cool. No, that's excellent. And so hydration and salt, we've sort of talked about those. Go and practice it. And we also need to practice the fueling element of the carbohydrate intake, and carbohydrate being the most important fuel for racing, and especially at the higher level as well. What are at a higher level, I mean, not going winning, but just actually pushing yourself hard. What are some guidelines around carbohydrate intake? You top end through to sort of what we should be maybe thinking about.
So normally I go with like 1 gram of carbs per kg of the athlete's body weight as like a guideline, but
minimum kind of.
Yeah, or depends on the person. There's a lot of different guidelines that you'll probably find. But some might say 30 grams per hour, depending on the race distance or how hard you're running. Some might say 60 to 90. But then if you've got someone who's maybe over 90 kilos, that's not 1 gram per kg, whereas that might be over that for like me or you. That would be like double what we need, really. But yeah, it kind of also depends on what you've been doing for a long time. Like some people, if they don't fuel, I've got one athlete at the moment who she has quite a low intake, but it's like we're working on getting it up and it's higher than it was, but it's still a lot less than it should be, and she still feels way better just because it's more than what she's ever done before. If that makes sense. So yeah, the 1 gram per kg is a pretty good
start point for people.
Yeah, and then if they're lower than that, then we'll just try and slowly build up to that. Because most of the people I'm working with are doing ultras. So that's a good guideline for like a really long day out for most people.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, and the thing I see with like actually athletes and coaching as well, and to be fair, even with myself, like coming off this sort of period of injury that I've had, like normally for me racing, again, generalization, obviously depending on the distance, but it'll be between anywhere from probably say 75 to 100, 110 grams of carbs per hour. And I remember when I first started doing some slightly longer runs and stuff, I was like, just, planning nutrition out, and it was aiming, I think, around 90 grams of carbs now. And I just felt like I just couldn't get through the carbs, and it was just like, I'm just like, man, this is just like working hard, just trying to get in the fuel. And that's really like insane. It's like, here's the kind of like baseline. And for people who are maybe listening or whatever, it's like, don't go from having 1 gel an hour, 22, 30 grams of carbs, to then all of a sudden like, oh no, these people are telling me I need to have like, 80 or 70 or whatever. And it's like doubling it up. And then you wonder why you've got a crook gut, you're not feeling great. And so it does need to be a bit of a progression sort of thing.
Really gradual. And if you're adding in different products as well, that needs to be like one at a time kind of thing to make sure, well, if you're prone to stomach issues anyway, which I feel like most runners would. And
I think as well, like I think maybe the way things are sort of shaping now, especially within the like nutrition industry, in the sense of these kind of like one-stop shop websites, in the sense of like you can get all these different ranges of products, and you hear a lot of nutritionists and coaches talking about variety and different options and all this kind of stuff, and then you go out and have 5 different types of gel, 3 different types of chews and different bars, and then you have it, and then something kind of goes wrong. It's like, oh, hang on a second, well, what was it that actually didn't work? And so that's where it's having a bit of a methodical approach to it, just to kind of work things out, but just being, as Hannah's saying, like just super gradual with things. And I think that's probably somewhere where people are getting caught out, is that the wonderful world of Instagram and social media, and you get these superheroes that are knocking back 120 grams of carbs an hour and seemingly perfectly fine. It's like a lot of the athletes that are doing that's been months and years in the making and progressing, and just being at the very top sort of pointy end of the sport, where they've been able to do different types of testing to see what they can tolerate and not tolerate and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, and also everyone is so different, and that's where just you're working out how your body works on different products and different things can help out.
I think one of the key things there is
as well.
Sorry, say that again, Hannah.
And whether you want to be using solid food, because if you're trying to get 70 or 80 grams of carbs and you're not a gel person, it gets a lot harder.
Yes. To be able to chew that while still breathing at the same time and not choking by getting those in at the same time. I think that one of the key things there is about reading your labels as well, isn't it? Like your some gel products actually have very little salt in them. Some do have higher salt intake in them. So it's a matter of
even some drink mixes have next to none. What was the one where I was adding the salt tabs and the Atacama? Was it SIS had
gels?
No, the drink mix.
the SIS Better Fuel is 80 grams of carbs and no sodium.
Yeah, no sodium. And so then you kind of, people are like, oh, no, I've got my drink mix. We've got, everything I need kind of thing. And it's like, well, actually, hang on a second. There's not. And so I did a stage race a couple of years ago, and Hannah did my nutrition plan for it. And so I'd end up basically putting the drink mix in, my flask, and then adding basically, sodium into the drink mix. So then I was covering my, kind of electrolyte needs and stuff, because otherwise without it, you especially racing in a desert, you find out real quick that, you're not quite doing what you should be doing as far as hydration. And that's where, literally, having a bit of an understanding and investing in yourself, in the sense of having a little bit of background knowledge. Again, you don't have to, be quite as, knowledgeable as some people are with it, but just having a bit of an understanding of, like, what amount of carbs are in here, what amount of sodium's in here, what other things are in here that can be helping, just so that you do have a bit of knowledge around it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So read your labels and suss it out. Go practice with it and see how it feels in the intensity you're going to be doing on race day is the other piece as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And reading the right column on the labels, because they normally have per 100 or per serve. If you're looking at the wrong column, you're going to get the wrong info. Yeah.
For sure, and I think that's the thing. And I think with, like, people doing different distances and races, as I said before, your nutrition plan for any individual, depending on the distance of race that you're doing, is going to look vastly different, in the sense of maybe the products that you're going to be taking during said race, but then also the overall carbohydrate intake, say, per hour, is going to be different, and that's where a lot of people doing some of the shorter, higher intensity races, they're not actually having as high a carbohydrate content per hour as what some of the ultra endurance people are doing, just purely because of intensity and because of how long they're going to be going, whereas it's kind of like every hour in an ultra is setting you up for the next hour, in the sense, if you sort of make a bit of an error in judgment, you're going to feel the flow on from that. Whereas, when you're doing, depending on obviously who the athlete is, but when you're doing a race, it's going to be 1 hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe two, you kind of get it, not the same that you get away with a bit more, but you're obviously just not out there for as long, so you're not needing to fuel the same kind of way.
Yeah. So
no, definitely not. Yeah.
Less important if someone's ripping around the miners trail quite quickly, opposed to sort of being out there, I guess, cruising through your marathon as you go as well, or the ultra. Hannah, would you be able to put it into some like real world terms, in terms of actual products that we could have? I guess we've got lollies, we've got food, we've got gels, we've got sports drink, we've got all these different things out there. I guess what are some options that we could get carbohydrates and be able to fuel ourselves with, that you'd recommend to your athletes that you work with?
So normally gels and drink mix, I'd want people to be using, just because they're like formulated with more carbs and they've got the sodium as well. Normally, some of the gels less so, but they're the easiest way to get the higher carb in. But obviously, some people don't want to use gels that are like the stickiness or whatever, or just want to use whole foods. So you could use, what do we use here? Bananas, but bananas quite low carb. So and also you have to be able to eat it and run at the same time. Bars. Pretzels.
And again, it just depends on races and stuff. Like, I've in the past used Marmite sandwiches, like white bread Marmite sandwiches is something different. Again, I'm not going to, when I do the marathon at MOTATAPU, as much as I'd love a Marmite Sanger, I'm probably not going to go there. But I think it's just working out again what works for you. And that's what Hannah was saying, like, as far as kind of bang for buck as far as carbohydrates go. That's why, I mean, okay, they're not necessarily as clean as what, eating a whole food kind of diet could be. But as far as like, hey, I'm here doing a running race or a mountain bike race, whatever it is, this is going to fuel me quite well. And so again, whether you go, all gels or gels and drink mixes, or chews and bars and mixing things up a bit, it's just a case of, for every athlete, you just want to be standing on the start line of whatever race you're doing, knowing like, hey, I'm getting enough carbs in for what I need to be doing. And then having the confidence knowing like, hey, I've been testing this and training with this, and I know that, it's, pretty much all going well. I mean, obviously there are still hiccups with things sometimes, but all things going well, I hopefully should be relatively smooth sailing, and you can then perform how you can perform and not have the nutrition aspect, being a bit of a, Achilles heel as far as performance.
There's like baby food pouches and like fruit puree type pouches as well that kind of can mimic a gel but are slightly lower in carbs. So some people like those because you can take the lid on and off. You don't have to have the whole thing in one go. Or like dried fruit, dried mango, that kind of thing. If people prefer like a real food option. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to break down to glucose in your body eventually. But some of them are going to get you more carbs than others. And some are just easier to get down. Like MOTATAPU, if you've got uphills and you need to fuel on an uphill, gel's going to be easier than a banana, chewing wise and breathing wise. But then if you're like a massive downhill,
sometimes
how hilly is MOTATAPU marathon?
I need to be careful. I say it's not overly mountainous. I mean, obviously the ultra run is kind of the one that is super mountainous, but and I think as well, like I think when people are like when you are planning races and things like that, you're looking to sort of take into account like the logistics of like, well, how am I actually physically going to carry for an athlete? Say they're wanting to aim for roughly 60 grams of carbs per hour. They feel like maybe the marathon's going to take them 6 hours. 6 is, you work out the math on actually, okay, well, logistically, that's a lot of bananas, or that's a lot of sandwiches, or that's a hell of a lot of gels, or whatever it is. And so that's where sort of sometimes I'd encourage people to like, look to utilize aid stations in the sense of seeing what they could maybe use from there to sort of quite literally lighten the load for what they're having to carry. Because at the end of the day, no one wants to, run the MOTATAPU marathon or ultra with a, 7 kilo pack on their back kind of thing, because they're carrying enough snacks for, a big day out sort of thing. But in saying that as well, you'd, at the end of the day, you'd rather carry the weight, know that you've got what you need to fuel yourself and get yourself through. Same with the hydration side of things. And rather than, trying to err on the side of, kind of less, not carrying quite as much, and then, find yourself, you get caught out, because then it's like, well, fitness was here, ability was here, strength and conditioning was here, but nutrition plan wasn't quite on par. And so then, you're not even going to get close to the performance that you're capable of purely because of that.
Yes, if you are going to use the aid stations, you need to know what's going to be at the aid station so you can practice. Like if they've got a certain type of gel that you've never used before, you don't want to get your hands on that and try it beforehand, or drink mix. Just to make sure it's fine for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that with the aid stations are great. It's a good point, Scotty, around utilizing them not to have to carry so much. Also, I think the aid stations are good for just a bit of variety. Like you mentioned, Hannah, like the puree baby food sort of options. Well, often they have oranges at some of the aid stations as well, and they're really nice just to freshen your mouth up as much as anything, because I've been having so many carbohydrates.
Yeah, and I think probably just speaking about aid stations is like being aware and being mindful of aid stations, because I mean I've done it far too many times myself, and I probably still do it sometimes, but just being aware that like aid stations are a smorgasbord, and you get quite excited, you come in there and there's all these different options, and then all of a sudden within the space of like 3 minutes, you've had a couple of 100 grams of carbs, and then 5 minutes down the track, belly full of Coca-Cola and oranges and Pringles, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, hang on a second. And then so just planning that in and just having the kind of the mindfulness and the presence to go, hey, like even though I'd love to just hook into all of this, like I can't do that. And I've actually encouraged some clients over the years, even just to take a little like snap lock bag. You can put a couple of little bits and pieces in there, so then as you leave the aid station, you can take, I mean, hopefully no race director's going to get angry at me for saying that, but don't take enough for your lunch the next day when you're going to work on Monday. But just sort of giving yourself that capacity to carry some more fuel to get you sort of help you get in between aid stations sort of thing. So you don't have to feel like you have to have like an eating competition as soon as you pull into the aid station, and then literally risk the negative sort of aspect of having a bit too much at one go, and then all of a sudden your stomach's waving a white flag going like, well, we've not even trained remotely close to doing that, it's too much. And then all of a sudden, you feeling full and, trying to run, and it's just not working for you.
It's basically like taking a doggy bag to a birthday party, isn't it? I do remember a bit of chocolate brownies on the road last time I did the ultra. It's like, down the track. So it's a good option, I think, just to take a little bit more and to spread it out a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And probably the other key piece around nutrition is that pre-race nutrition, isn't it, Hannah? Trying to get that one right. It's a challenge to get right for different events, time of the day they're starting. Again, it's very individualized and so many different factors with it. But are there any guidelines that you look to try and hit pre-race in around, carbohydrate amount and what that might look like?
It's again very much the person and what they've practiced. Depends how far out you've started, I think, before the race, like training and practicing your nutrition. Like if you're not doing any breakfast, then something's going to be better than nothing before the race, even if it's just a gel before you start. Ideally, you have a breakfast that's tried and that you've tried plenty of times and it's worked, and you've run or biked or done a decent workout on that breakfast, and it's worked. It's been fine. You've felt fine, no nausea, and you've practiced it at the time that you're going to have it on race day. Like, what time is the ultra? So they start super early. MOTATAPU?
I don't think
the
ultra's pretty early. I don't think the marathon's too early, but and I think that's the thing. I think like whatever you're doing, like do dress rehearsals, run throughs, and again, it doesn't have to mean every single run needs to be a dress rehearsal run through, but it's kind of like, taking those opportunities where you can in training, and it doesn't always have to be your long runs. It could be when you're doing, whether you're doing some tempo threshold work or you're doing some hill sessions and stuff. But like just practicing all of that kind of stuff, and so then just knowing like, hey, come race day, it's like you're not worried about what you're eating or what you're doing. It's like, no, I've tried this before. I did my long run a few weeks ago, and I ate this, I drank that, I did that, and the long run went really well for the most part, whatever. And then you can have confidence to say, hey, that again, all things going well, things should be pretty good. And I think one of the biggest things I think is like people often, especially at the start of races, sometimes even in marathons and things, and like quite often the intensity for a lot of people, and obviously different people are different, but the intensity come race day is higher than what long runs are, because obviously everyone's fresh and they're tapered, feeling good. All their mates are there and they take off like a cut cat off the start line. Then all of a sudden, the intensity's up here, and their stomach, they're just not used to getting in those amount of grams of carbohydrates per hour and all that kind of stuff at that sort of intensity. And even just the logistics of getting gels and while you're breathing a bit harder and all that kind of stuff, gets tricky. So just, as I say, I encourage people to, when they're doing, tempo runs on the flat, or if they're doing uphill reps and bits and pieces, or doing steady state running, it's like they're also really good opportunities to practice the, race day nutrition. It doesn't have to be just on long runs, although obviously you should be utilizing those to obviously, race aside, we should be fueling our long runs well anyway. But then obviously when it's, got a race coming up and stuff, it's all practice for that as well.
Yeah, good.
Uphill sections and downhill sections as well. Like
definitely.
If you're having to concentrate where you put your
feet, it's a good shout actually.
And you haven't had anything on the whole uphill, you need to have something on downhill. So whether that's a gel because it's the easiest thing to get down, but being able to run without face planting and eat at the same time, it's all practice.
Get that in.
And it just becomes your second nature, I think, as well. Because and I don't know what you say with your athletes, Richard, but like I say to people, like these races are eating competitions with a bit of running thrown in. Like it's if you don't get the fueling right, it's like it doesn't matter how fit you are, fast you are, strong you are, what your 10K road PB is. No one cares, because if you don't fuel well and hydrate well, you're not going to get anything remotely close to your best performance out of it. And it still baffles me. I've been coaching for nearly 12 years now. The amount of people that just do not place enough importance on nutrition and a nutrition plan. It's almost like it takes at least one race per season in some people to go, oh, that's right, I need to really sort this out, kind of thing. It's like, come on, Frank or Bob or Mary, whoever it is, it's like, we know this, you need to focus on this. And so as far as like, low-hanging fruit, as far as, increasing performance, focusing on nutrition is just such a massive part of it, because without it, especially the longer the race goes, it just gets harder and harder.
More important, 100%. Hannah, could I put you on the spot to say what's your top 3 breakfast or pre-race ideas that you give people that you'd recommend?
Oats. Probably first.
Is that oats? Hang on. Is that oats in regards to porridge? Is that what we're doing with oats?
Porridge, overnight oats.
Okay.
However you want to get the oats in.
The oats, okay.
With as many toppings as
potato.
With banana in it, with whatever you like in it. Probably don't load it up with like chia seeds and things before a race. But
okay, good.
Carbs,
So
low fiber, low protein. So don't be adding protein powder or anything super fibrous to your breakfast. Toast, but if you're going to do toast, I'd do white bread, and I'd do it closer to start time of the race. Don't do whole grains or anything. Again, the fiber.
Yeah. And what would you have on your toast? Are you going jam or marmalade, or are you going peanut butter honey?
Whatever you like. Honey's good carbs, jam's good carbs, but if you don't like those, then you only like Marmite.
Marmite's the best.
Still better than nothing. At least you get the sodium from the Marmite.
Huge Marmite fan over here. Jeez, I love it.
Yeah, Marmite every day of the week. Okay, cool. So that's so that's number 2. So your oats, toast. What's your third?
Oh, do I have a third? I don't know. Up and go and a banana.
That's a fair shout, actually, though. Like,
dairy free up and go if you're going to have an upset stomach from the dairy.
Yeah.
I mean, small if you need something small. A gel 15 minutes before the start.
Yeah, we should look at a family sponsorship for Up and Go, because I tell you what, the amount of those bloody Up and Goes that we go through, but no, they are a great option. Again, I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, we'd all have heaps of time to be able to, plan perfect meals and everything. But like, as Hannah said, like, something's better than nothing. And or if you are staying in a hotel and you don't have access to a kitchen or a kitchenette or whatever it is, then it's kind of like, and that's all. Preparation and planning ahead. And sometimes it's kind of like, okay, well, this isn't perfect, but it's going to be a pretty decent option as far as getting something in, getting some carbs in, and being ready to go when the gun goes off.
And those kind of breakfasts you could practice for, like, if you're doing an afternoon run or something, you could have it up and go on a banana half an hour before your evening afternoon run, and it doesn't have to be a morning thing if you like your normal breakfast. You can still practice those things.
Yeah, good stuff.
Training and know that it's an option.
That's the thing, I think, also as well, isn't it? That's nice. Like, actually, you don't have to have your biggest breakfast ever, but to have a banana or a bar or a muffin or something like that in your bag that you may or may not have 60 to an hour to a half an hour before the start, like, as an option, because nerves and things make a difference as well. So, to be able to be a bit adaptable is important too, isn't it?
And if you are having like a smaller breakfast than you used to, then just knowing that you probably need to top up your carbs in the first hour pretty quickly compared to what you might normally do. Like, have a gel within the first 20 minutes instead of at 45 minutes.
Yes. Another nice option I've been doing for a little while now is I normally make up a soft flask for pre-race, and so I'll make up a carb drink mix pre-race, and then I can just sort of be, in the hour or so leading up to kick off for race day, just sipping away on that. So then again, it's not saying, hey, I have to get through the whole flask, but it just does mean you're kind of sipping away. So then you sort of top up a few carbs, and you don't, because hydration as well. And also as well, like, I mean, even for the most experienced athletes, there's always butterflies in your stomach come race day. There's always a few nerves, and so, I mean, as I say, like, I could eat Marmite and cheese on toast until the cows come home, but sometimes come race morning, it's like, well, hang on a second, I'm sure this bread is drier than what it normally is, and and it feels different, it tastes a bit different, and so
just don't want to eat full stuff.
Or sometimes and
liquid carbs can be
sometimes I've had races, especially when I've had races that start quite early. I definitely choose to prioritize sleep over getting up too early for for races, and so then it'll be a case of like, okay, well, I'm not going to get up a couple of hours before, an hour and a half or whatever, and get a proper breakfast in. I'll leave the alarm for a bit later, get up, and then just make sure that I'm getting some some calories and carbs in from a different source, but just obviously just making sure. And the other one I think probably quickly is that just with regards to like coffee and caffeine before races as well. It's like, if you're a person, which to be fair, I think a lot of people in the general population are, if you have your coffee and then within half an hour you're getting the old, run to the toilet kind of thing going on, quite often, so needing to time that, but then also quite often for me personally on race day mornings now, I won't have coffee, but I will look at having like a caffeine tablet before the start of the race, and so that way I can get the caffeine kind of in my system, which kind of the body obviously learns to rely on with our coffee addictions, but it just means you're sort of getting all the benefits from having caffeine in your system, and you're not having to have the coffee, which can then quite often in turn have an upset gut. And then it's kind of like, as I say, people like, the race is hard enough as it is without making it even harder by doing certain things or having your your fluffy flat white before race day, and then you've got a googly guts kind of thing. And so just being aware of that, and again, seeing what's happening in training, how you're feeling. I mean, some people, could have a cappuccino and then go for a marathon, but a lot of people do have, sort of intolerances either to dairy or just caffeine in general. So just, planning that stuff out as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. This is good. This 2-for-1 chat with both of you is very good. We're doing well today. Scotty, you are lining up for the MOTATAPU Marathon. You have unfortunately been injured for 18 months or so, sort of sidelined, but you're able to sort of toe the start line and get back into things again. How are you feeling about lining up on the MOTATAPU Marathon start line? You've done it before.
Terrified.
Yeah.
I did it. I can't remember when I did it. I think I did it 2022 or 3. 22 was it? Yeah. And I just I can't remember exactly, but I can't remember if I had an injury maybe going into it. But I just remember sort of it was one of those races where you knew you were there, but it was going to be a bit of a dogfight, and you weren't in your best form and shape and stuff. And unfortunately, the year that we did it was the year that a mountain biker passed away right at the start of the race, and so. It was a bit of a weird race and weird experience overall, but just beautiful, like just awesome race, super beautiful. I mean, obviously, any run you do down in that part of the world, you don't have to sort of look too hard to find good views and scenery and stuff. And so, and so I've sort of had a really nice experience last time, just in the sense of obviously the trails are nice. The marathon is a very fast, trail marathon course, but just because of how kind of groomed it is, and not having a hell of a lot of elevation gain compared to some of the other trail marathons out there. But just an awesome event, and just looking to kind of kick off the 2026 season, and hopefully be in a lot better shape than what I was a couple of years ago, and hopefully with the baby coming in a month's time, hopefully he's an absolute angel and sleeps like a champion, so his dad can get some good training in before the race and that. But really looking forward to being back there again, and doing what is now kind of become a pretty sort of big key event in the New Zealand trail running calendar. So it's, it should be good.
Yeah, good on you. Good. Well done. It's great to have you back, and great to be able to for you to toe the start line. Are you nervous as a result of being injured, or how are you feeling mentally about
it? It's kind of in a weird spot at the moment. I think just purely because of this injury was unfortunately the worst injury of my career. I've had a hell of a lot of injuries over the years, so it's a pretty big thing to sort of say, hey, this was the worst one. But as far as time on the sidelines go, this one did put me out for the longest. And so, it's sort of, I'm at a point now where I've been kind of training for long enough that I'm getting kind of every run that I do, every long run, every workout, every, end of every training week, just gaining more confidence in the body, and getting that sort of feeling back, like, oh, okay, maybe I can still do this, because there has been a hell of a lot of self-doubt over the last 18 months, and Hannah can probably vouch for that as well. She's had a grumpy partner for the last 18 months who's been not able to do what he, needs to do. But I'm just, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, I love training hard. I love racing. I love everything that's involved in it. And even, I've actually got a birthday coming up on Monday. And every year you sort of go on. You think like, oh, how long am I going to keep, racing like this or doing this? But I still have the same fire burning as 15 years ago. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is. I just love the process of getting ready for these events, and then, just racing and, challenging myself against some, really fit, fast and strong people. It's, kind of fun. It's just what gets me up out of bed in the morning and really motivates me. And, so I'm looking forward to kicking off this year. And also as well, it'll be quite cool because it's, going to be the first race that I'll do as a new dad as well. So there's kind of that part of it that I'm really excited about as well. And, and then the same thing, nearly 10 years ago with my daughter Sienna, it was always wanting to sort of, show her and be as good a role model as I could be, and for her to see me, rolling the sleeves up. Doesn't matter if it's raining outside, pissing down, or snow, like, dad's out there getting the job done, training hard and all that kind of stuff. So, it's nice now after the injury to be back at a spot where, I'm just sort of embracing training again, and just, back to loving the process and doing what I enjoy doing.
So good, isn't it? Good to hear that you're enjoying that, and it sounds like for you, the way that you approach the event is, I'm just going to go and do my best and enjoy the fact that I can do this, opposed to, hey, I've been Scotty Hawker that's placed high in all these races and overseas, done amazingly well. It just comes back to doing what you can do now and enjoy it.
Yeah, and saying that, I'm still going to send it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Of course you will, but it's the
yeah,
expectation side of things, isn't it? And not to go. I should be doing that.
I've been doing it for long enough now and I posted I did the Valley Ultra Piglet couple of weeks before Christmas, and so I posted on Instagram saying about how, you know, that race was just for me. It wasn't for sponsors, it wasn't for my coach, it wasn't for anyone else. Like, it was just because I wanted to be there, I wanted to race, I wanted to push myself, and that's kind of like a real sort of overarching sort of theme and philosophy that I'm trying to sort of approach this year with, in the sense, like, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be training as hard as I've ever trained. I'm still going to be wanting to push as hard as I can in races, but it's all for really sort of positive, good reasons, the right reasons for me as Scotty, not for, you know, me as a professional athlete trying to, you know, earn an income from it or whatever it is. Because, yeah, as I say, I've been kind of doing it for a long time now, and I've worked out, you know, what does work for me, what doesn't work for me as far as mindset and my approach to racing goes. And I'm still focused when I race, but when I'm relaxed and having fun and just trying to enjoy myself as much as I can, I mean, and for a lot of people, you know, that's when you're running your best, you're relaxed, you're controlled, you've got good flow when you're running, your form's often a lot better, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to sort of, yeah, and also practice a little bit of what I preach with the athletes I coach, in the sense of, you know, you can't tell your athletes to do X, Y, Z if you're not going to go do X, Y, Z sort of thing. And so just really, yeah, just sort of bringing the fun back this year, and either going back to races and doing them again because I really want to do them, or picking some new and different races because, yeah, I'm just picking stuff that I want to do because that's what I want to do. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's awesome. And you're a better coach for standing on the start line, aren't you, to experience the training and doing those long runs. And a 3-hour run is one thing to write down, but it's another thing to actually go and do yourself. So it's good for you to be in that space too, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And it's accountability, you know, like, and I definitely like to have a sort of like practice what I preach sort of approach. And then, because I have seen over the years, and obviously never naming names, but like some coaches who are sort of off preaching one thing and then going off and doing another thing, it's kind of like, oh, well, no, that's all right for me, but you do this, or it's like, and I sort of am always of the opinion that, like, everything that I do as a professional athlete, and what I'm prescribing for the athletes that I coach to do, it's in general quite similar what we're doing, you know, like, it's like, well, here's the training sessions you're doing, run them controlled and within yourself. You need to focus on recovery just as much as I do. You need to eat just as well, just like I do. And so we're all kind of needing to do all the same sort of things. And so I'm always sort of trying to, you know, really just emphasize, like, you know, everyone needs to be doing key things. And then I like to think that if the athletes that I coach can see me doing what I'm sort of encouraging them to do, that's kind of almost proof in print and in the pudding, in the sense of, you know, okay, well, it's a system in a way that does work. And things like that. So it's yeah, and again, I definitely gain a lot of inspiration and motivation from coaching and athletes, and also especially in the last 18 months, you know, when I've been injured and stuff, I've kind of been living vicariously through all of their you know, adventures and runs and wins and podiums and finishes, and, you know, and it's just, yeah, I mean, as you're a coach yourself, you know, it's I love running, but also being a coach within the sport of, you know, sort of trail and ultra running. It's just such a blessing and honor to be a tiny little part of people's journeys, helping them out along the way. And yeah, definitely, you know, really enjoy that aspect to it as well.
Yeah, and to be part of the event that you've got athletes competing in and being involved in is super fun, isn't it? Whether they're in front of you or behind you, to be there at the start line, at the finish line is super fun.
That's the problem. An athlete that I coach, Benji, he won the marathon last year, and so now I've sort of, you know, he's put a bloody line in the sand, and, you know, he'll give me absolute arseholes if I don't beat his time. But no, it's just it is great. And then yeah, it's such a great thing to be at events, and obviously the event atmosphere, and, you know, around, you know, like-minded people, motivated people, really just cool, great people, you know. And I think that's the big part of racing, what makes it what it is. And yeah, what obviously why races all across New Zealand and across the globe are just, you know, growing and growing and growing and getting bigger, because you sort of have that little bit of a taste of what an event is, and especially a good event like MOTATAPU, you know, because it is a very professionally put on event. It's a beautiful part of the country. The logistics are fantastic. The aid stations are good. The course markings are good, all that kind of stuff. And so it's yeah, it's you know, not that you even need to twist an arm to go to a race, but it just makes it very inviting for people to want to go and do those, you know, kinds of races.
Yes, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thank you for your energy and enthusiasm. Thank you for your sort of insights in terms of nutrition, and then how to get to a start line in one piece, and hopefully practice what we're going to do on race day, so we can go and have an awesome time out there. So hopefully your next month or two goes well, and all the best with the new arrival, and hopefully we'll look for seeing you down in Centro Otago, MOTATAPU, and go and have an adventure together.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay,
Awesome.
cheers, Dave.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.